So continue along some of the same themes. Procter was a big winner at Cannes this year. They also won for another piece of work that came from Canada this time, which was called #LikeAGirl. Have some of you seen this work? It's also another great piece of work. Sort of takes on another perspective, which is that, you know, how many times have you, if you're a little girl, certainly from my generation, you've been told, oh, you dress like a girl, you run like a girl, or you talk like a girl. And in fact, I mean, that is going quite a long way in creating some pretty bad standardizations for women. And so this piece of work took that on and was really, really clever. What they did is they asked women in their 40s to talk about, you know, what do you do when you do it like a girl, as well as men? And you could see all those kind of ridiculous behaviors. And then they took young girls from the millennials generation and asked them, well, how do you do it when you're a girl? And you could see that they were very confident and there was no difference. So bridging that gender equality. To me, this piece of work is a little less brave than the other one. The other one is really going in the face of some pretty long-standing stereotypes. This piece of work really just shows more the power of now, of sort of just how people, the gender difference, and how a generation of now is starting to think about being a girl differently from previous generations. So it's a little bit more of a mirror strategy than the previous one, which is really sort of going against the grain. But it's lovely nevertheless. Let's have a look. So one of the things that you have to realize is before the campaign broke, they used social media again in this context of Power of Now, and they seeded all of these vignette videos of sort of older folks making fun of what it means to be like a girl. Then they showed these young girls talking very confidently about what it means to do math like a girl and to play tennis like a girl, and contrasting the difference across generations. And this is the piece of work sort of, as a result, re-giving new meaning to what being a girl is. Another piece of work that won, this time for Unilever, was a campaign called Speak Beautiful. Have any of you seen this one? Great. This is a really, really interesting one. So the two others, I mean, in many ways, they came from an analysis of culture, consumer insights and traditions and observations. What's interesting with this one is it directly came from an analysis of what was happening online. So our teams and the Unilever client recognized that there were millions of conversations happening online about girls and women and their bodies, and all of those conversations were majority negative. That's really sad. So basically most of what was talked about on Twitter when women were describing themselves was, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I don't feel good. So the brief that we got from the client was, how can we start with this insight around these real-time conversations and turn the conversation around in social media and then of course in real life, and flip it so that the conversations become more positive. What we did was we actually worked with the client to create an automated real-time responder so that any time a woman would tweet something negative about their body, they would get an answer back, which was a positive reinforcement. It's quite a complex piece of work, and it was all run in real time in an automated manner. And what we were able to do with the client is to turn around the conversations from negative to positive. So what we did is we used an algorithm to find tweets reflecting all of these personal negative body images during the Oscars, which is, you know, when women are watching red carpet moments and feeling at their worst. And then we replied with an auto prompt to every single tweet that mentioned some of those interest categories that I showed you at the beginning, whether someone was mentioning the word body, ugly. We had like a slew of archives and words that we were monitoring in real time, and then we would answer back to the woman with the hashtag Speak Beautiful, some motivating thoughts for why women should feel more confident about their bodies. The campaign generated over 6 million tweets, and 400,000 of them actually mentioned Dove. So Dove was also able, as a brand, to take ownership of the beauty conversation. Such a lovely campaign, and I think does a great job at showing what we mean by the power of now, not just in terms of marketing messages, but real impact on customers. Okay, so one more. There are a lot in this category. This is an interesting campaign for a brand called Under Armour, which is in the business of fitness. It's a very different example. So again, the first two that I showed were really about using the power of now to take on cultural traditions. Then you've got the Speak Beautiful, which is about harnessing the power of line and conversations that are happening in real time online. This one, what happened is they actually turned to our real-time platform to address a bit of a backlash that happened with that campaign. What happened is they decided to use Giselle, who is this model, for the launch of their brand, and it didn't go very well. And they started to get a lot of negative tweets around why they had chosen this brand ambassador. And rather than sort of hide in the closet like brands would have done a couple of years ago, they took back to Twitter and they responded and turned it around. So, pretty interesting case. All right, so I think you heard also they had 2 days to turn this around. It's pretty amazing. You know, when we say power of now, we really mean in the moment, and we also mean crafting new campaign ideas, you know, within a matter of days, if you want to be really opportunistic. Okay, so that was one category of work. So I just want to get into the second hashtag now, which is purposeful. There's a lot of really great work that harnesses the power of now, not just online, but also to ensure that products and services really fulfill a greater purpose. And what marketers are doing is they're using this real-time information to bring that to the forefront. One great piece of work that was actually done by Volvo. And what's remarkable about it is in this campaign you never saw the car. Very, very provocative for car advertising. What they realized was, in terms of owning the safety brand positioning, the best thing that they could do was to recognize the accidents that were happening around that car, and they were not necessarily related to the safety features of the car. And so they realized that in the evening, most of the accidents that occur actually involve cyclists. So what they decided to do was to run a campaign where they created a new product which was called the Life Spray. It's a real product that they invented, and this came again from their analysis of all the conversation that was happening in social media and in real life. And so they invented this Volvo spray called the Life Spray. As a cyclist, you can spray on your outfit, and at night you will actually end up being illuminated like this, so the cars on the road can actually see you. It's a brilliant piece of work in that, again, it's not just marketing, it's a real product that they came up with, and then they did all of the power of now marketing that you would imagine. I'll just skip forward so I can show you more work. Another great piece of work, really, really original. I like this one because in Asia, oftentimes, we don't have big budgets. So you may be asking, well, you know, I can really do this. There's a lot of opportunities to be doing super clever and not necessarily very intensive investment work within the category of Power Now. I'll show you two right now. One was what KLM did is basically they realized that they have great customer service, but that customer service is only made available to the people who travel on KLM. So what they decided to do was to make that customer service available to any other passenger on another airline with this hashtag called Happy to Help. And in doing so, they essentially just took over the entire customer service.
KLM is proud of its customer service.
I think it's a brilliant campaign, and it really shows you how you can go again from just messaging, marketing, to really something that transforms the service through the analysis of all of this real-time information. Customer service will be one of the biggest opportunities in terms of brands harnessing social media. Or we also see a category now called social care, which is transforming customer service into real-time care. That's the power of now. Very, very important piece of work, I think, to be looking at. Now, I showed you a lot of work that has Twitter. I said that I didn't cull through the work, but I'm going to show you a piece of work that doesn't, so I can be also credible. There was some great work that talked to the power of now without looking into social, although there was a lot. I'm going to show you this one piece of work, which is absolutely amazing. It is very much on the power of now, in that what it asks you to do is to be in the moment and engage with content at the speed of even half of a second. Essentially, let me show it to you and then I'll explain it some more, see if you get it. So what's going on there, I think you should go have a look, is What Honda did is they wanted to introduce this new car brand called the Type R. And to bring the car benefits to life, they created this YouTube film where when you run it on your computer, every time you press the letter R on your keyboard, the film changes in real time, talk about the power of now, giving you a different version. And you can play it literally hundreds and hundreds of times. And what happens is when you play, you let it play without pressing the button. You have sort of like a nice dad taking his kids to school and it looks very pedestrian. And when you press the R button in real time, the film turns to black and you see the other side of the character who actually looks like he's a villain and he's going to be robbing a bank. Absolutely phenomenal production value, incredible results. They received over 90% traffic. They had over 100,000 shares of their YouTube film, and it did such a great job at basically repositioning the Honda car as sort of like a mommy vehicle into a car that's very versatile and has this other side. It's extremely clever. It didn't start with social conversation, but it ignited with the shareability of the content, and it's absolutely beautiful. I encourage you to go and look for it. It's a lot of fun. It's very addictive as you play with the button, and you see how the creative adapts in real time each time. Really beautiful piece of work. Can you imagine how they had to film it? It must have been a nightmare. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to move on a little bit. I want to show you this last piece of work. So I'm, again, mindful of what we can do here, what's available to harness the power of now. This is a great piece of work that was done by Chevy Cars in terms of redirecting the focus of something that didn't go so well. This is something that we also see in terms of a trend I talked about, customer service and the emergence of social care. Just a couple of years ago, clients would come and see us and they'd say, I don't want to use Twitter, I'm a little bit nervous, what if someone says something negative about me? And our answer has always been the same, is they're saying that anyway, so if you don't answer, you're just putting your head in the sand. This is a great example of how a brand took something that went wrong and within a day completely turned it around. Have a look. This is such I think, a rewarding piece of work. We're perfect. We all make mistakes, individuals and brands, and yet the opportunity to turn it around. I noticed for the first time also as I'm listening to this again and again is you see how fast the brands are able to react. So they're listening in real time. They're reacting within minutes. Within one day, they changed the website. They changed their print ads. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. Take that to heart in terms of what the power of now really means for marketing today. That's incredible. I mean, really, really incredible. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up. I've got a lot more work to show you, but you guys are going to have to send me a message on Twitter to get a presentation because I've run out of time. Just talk a little bit about the learnings. So hopefully I've brought to life what power of now means. Lots of different ways to harness this power of now. A lot of winning brands are really thinking in this new way. What's interesting is the best work is really extending from social media to the real world or from the real world into social media. Creative ideas really need to drive tangible business outcomes. So it's not just talking to the customer or with the customer. It's not just about messaging. It's really about sometimes delivering new services. Social increasingly used to address PR crisis, customer service is what I talked about, the age of social care, and a lot of emerging new ways to do business. There's a piece of work I didn't show you, which won a Grand Prix also, Titanium, in terms of using little visual icons and emojis to actually order a pizza. Great opportunity. It's a very simple idea. It's amazing it won such a big prize. But the opportunity, again, to use much more design and iconography in marketing to go faster along this power now. So that's what I have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's no moment like the present, so let's network and talk to each other. Thank you very much.
The spirit behind power of now in building brands, how does that work?
The spirit
behind the power of brands. The spirit behind the power of now in building brands. How does that work?
The spirit behind the power of now. I think the spirit is recognizing that as human beings, we are doing things in the moment, and it's very important to address those conversations, in the moment. So I think the selection of work shows that it's not about, just marketing communications and being fake and trying to put all these messages on social media. There are a lot of ideas that pertain to trying to find services and things that are useful for people. So, for instance, what KLM did, I think that's amazing. That's one entire day where they put their own brand and their customer service to the test and gave it to people when they offered rides and things like that. So the spirit behind the power of now is to offer very tangible value and concrete services that people are going to appreciate. It's no longer a lot of marketing BS where 10 years ago you're putting out a message. You can recognize it, it's what I call the traditional advertising anthem. The film first of all, it's a film, and it starts with, we believe in blah, 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 and then the brand never does anything. When you see those films, watch out. That's crap. That is not the spirit of the power of now. The power of now is you're delivering a very tangible service, you're engaging in a real-time conversation. That really is going to make a difference for people. So it's actually a good question. Spirit's really, really changed.
Great.
I think there's other questions.
So I'm actually a keen brand advocate, and I completely get the whole power of now and the whole piece around social media. But having worked in Asia, I think it comes down to how sophisticated brand is in this part of the world and how much of an understanding there is about it. So often when you work with corporates or when you work with small businesses, you get the question around, how does that convert? And what does that mean in terms of performance? And you talked about tangible value. How do you convince corporates and partners that this is actually the direction to go in terms of performance and what they can get out of it?
Great question. I think what we're able to see is on social media you have two types of power of now type work. Work that allows you to do what we call sort of brand-driven kind of work, a lot of which I've showed, and this is typically what you see at Cannes, but there's also performance-driven work. So when we work with small businesses, or when we work with game developers or businesses that are moving at very high speed, we have a slew of products that actually can track in real time all the way down to the sales funnel what is happening. So I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. Power of now is not just about, I think it's an important question, looking good, and there's a bit of looking good and celebrating great things for a day or two. It has to generate tangible business results, and CMOs today are really looking for that, and we see the funnel further contracting, really literally going from launch to results immediately. So that's something that on social you're also incredibly able to capture, which is that by tagging and putting cookies on everything that you do, being able to look at the response of now. And that's why a lot of small businesses are using social media, because they're able to get that kind of conversion. So if you're in the business of downloading an app, or if you want to even get someone to do a test drive, or if you want to convert someone into your website, or send them to an Amazon, for instance, there's very, very direct performance metrics that we can track, which is why then it's interesting, because you can adjust in real time if it's working or not.
Freddie, what do you think the now, the power of now, will it make us lose the history of the past?
Great question. Actually, if you go to my Twitter feed, I tweeted a couple of days ago, I took a picture of a tweet that I thought was so wonderful. Someone, I think probably a mom, took a picture of a kid in summer camp with a tent in the forest and tweeted the end of nostalgia. This is where we're at. I think the kid was, in the middle of the forest, and he was doing some tweeting. It's a lovely thought. How is the power of now, and how is technology reinventing our human understanding of time and what is known as nostalgia? I don't think we can tell. I have to ask the digital natives, right, the children. For sure, what's happening is we see a further contraction of the time continuing. That's for sure. So, just a couple of years ago, you had to respond fast. Fast was kind of the word. Now it's live. It's now. We launched a new service called Periscope, which is even, I think, faster than now. It's basically ongoing presence. So you turn your phone on and you're live. You yourself are on constantly. So I think we're going to see further acceleration. Now is probably not fast enough.